Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you the 2021 Arnold Palmer Invitational. These are my money picks, changing it up a little bit than how I usually do it. I think I've had some requests to talk a little more about the one and done, the betting, and then, of course, the GPP. We're going to cover all that. I appreciate you stopping by. If you are new, if you like what you see, hit the like button, subscribe. We'll get that out of the way, and let's get into this. Okay, first thing I want to talk about is I am running a promotion for the players, a contest. We've got a Millie Maker coming here next week. I know we're talking about the Arnold Palmer, but I wanted to go ahead and get this out now to get people involved. And what am I doing? I am giving away randomly 10 winners. I will pay for your $20 entry fee into the Millie Maker. All you need to do is hit the like button between this show and then my final show for the players. So next week, and I need you to subscribe. You must be a subscriber. So if you are new or if you've been a subscriber, I'm going to randomly poll 10 winners. It is a generator that I have that I just throw all the people's names in that enter. And all you need to do is tell me, who do you think is going to win the Masters? Hit the like button, subscribe, give me your winner, and you are in the contest. And the good news is right now I have a little over 200 subscribers. So you have like almost a 20% chance of winning this thing. So I definitely highly recommend it. Okay, let's get into the Arnold Palmer, why we are here. And to start right off, if you missed my preview show yesterday, kind of the highlights of it is I ranked all the skill sets that these guys are going to need to win here. And the first thing they must be able to do is putt on Bermuda and be very good at it. They got to avoid the three putts. Approach and hitting greens and reg is always a very highly sought after skill. But there's a little more finite to that, is that the two areas that we see on this course is that they're going to have to hit the ball close proximity to the pin from 150 to 175, and then 30% of the time they are going to have to hit it in from 200 plus. It is a little longer track, but that's also looking at the par fives. You got to hit good drives. And what does that mean? That means you don't have to have the length. You just got to be hitting fairways here. Of course, you have generous fairways, but you have a lot of water and issues. If you get off the fairway, there's 84 sand traps, so you got to be able to get out of the sand. You got to be able to scramble. And, of course, all that with the approach, you got to be good with your long irons, and then par 5 scoring. And there is four par 3s that are 200 plus. There is one at 195, but I'm throwing that in there as 4. And, of course, you're going to have to make some birdies. And it's going to be what we've seen in the past at this course is, you can shoot 18 under here, but like last year, it was 4 under that one with Terrell Hatton. And so if the wind blows, we are going to have a different course and a different skill set. And I'm going to touch upon that. And a lot of the guys that I'm going to be picking is going to be a little bit due to the weather that's coming. And I don't typically do this. I'm recording this Tuesday about 1 o'clock Eastern time. But knowing that this course is so different when you have conditions, and it's showing possible rain and wind on Saturday. The wind's going to be kicking up again on Sunday. You're getting up to 20 mile an hour, just steady wind, but up to 30 mile an hour gust. And some of that in the afternoon too. So something to look at for showdown, but it's something that we have to be cognizant of when picking players. And with that, funny enough, is the past 5 winners here have been international. You got Terrell Hatton in Europe. You got Molinari. You've got Rory, of course. You got Leishman from Australia, and you got Dave from Australia. So, there's some reasoning why their skill sets also work well here, but they're also pretty decent in the weather. And we're going to look at that as we make our picks. All right. Again, the first thing that I do is I think one of the more important things is what's recent form for these guys. And what I do is I apply a model and I apply that skill set we just talked about, and we see what gets generated out. And the first thing, again, I'll just highlight what it is. I weighted 10% on putting, 10% on approach, 10% on ball striking. That's, of course, looking tee to green, 10% on those good drives. We got to get out of the sand. We got to be able to scramble. There's a lot of par 3s, as I mentioned, over 200 yards, and you've got to be able to score on the par 5s. You got to hit greens and reg. You got to avoid the 3 putts. And again, that whole proximity from 200 plus, I weighted at 10% and 5% for the proximity to 150 to 175. That I'm going to apply against all these different models that you see. And then I'll talk about if I add different filters, just so you know what you're seeing. And then what I look for is correlation through all these different models that I run. And just to pull some names out that I'm interested in and I think makes sense. So Terrell Hatton was, one of my main picks. Thought he'd have a top 5 last week. And what's kind of funny, what I've always noticed is sometimes I'm just a week off. So, of course, Terrell Hatton, I think, is a great play. I'll tell you where he fits in later. You got Cameron Trigali, who shows up a bit. You got Lonto, Sam Burns, Mark Leishman that shows up quite a bit. Sanjay M is someone else that, and Paul Casey that we'll get into. But just so you can see from a recent form against those, and that's looking at the last 24 rounds, against those weights and skill sets, those are the guys that are getting generated. And everything that you're seeing here is the top 20 rank in each of these. So any of these players on here, have some ability to do well here. But as we keep kind of drilling down and finite analysis, it's going to kind of bring the guys that we really want to focus on. So the next thing we want to look at is history at the course. Of course, at Bay Hill, and the guys that pop up. And no shocker, and this is looking at the past 12 rounds. I think going back any further, you just start to lose what you really need to look at. So Rory, of course, who's a past winner here, has done very well here. You got Emiliano Grillo's got good history here. Sanjay M always plays well here. He's got a couple, I believe, top fives. Paul Casey. And then Tommy Fleetwood's interesting because I've been fading Tommy for quite a few events for a while, but I've been watched him quite a bit at the WGC. It really was the putter that hurt him, and I think with the weather possibly coming and what Tommy's game is, and if he is ever going to actually win on U.S. soil, it's kind of funny that was a big narrative for a long time, and it's kind of gotten forgotten now. We've kind of focused on Finau and Spieth, but Fleetwood is still not won on American soil, and this could be a great opportunity for him to do that. We'll talk about that. The comp courses that I am looking at is Sedgefield, which is located in North Carolina. It is a par 72, 7,100 yards, but the greens are Bermuda. I think there's some similarities on how that plays. I'm looking at TPC Southwind, and I'm also looking at PGA National. So TPC Southwind is where they play the FedEx WGC St. Jude, and of course the Honda Classic, which I think is a really good fit from a course comp side. And I'm trying to think if there was any others. Nope. That's the main ones that I'll be looking at, so I just wanted to cover that. All right, so now you have an understanding of the comp courses I'll be looking at. These is when I turn on some filters, and it will, pull these courses up, and then of course we apply again recent form, which is the 12 rounds and the weighting, and we get guys like Paul Casey again popping up. Brandon Grace, I highlighted that because it's interesting, right? He just won over in Puerto Rico, but that he's had some good form playing these kind of courses. You got Rory again. Jason Duff, I just thought was interesting. Really good with the long irons. Someone, we can look at. I would look at as a sleeper play. I'll do more analysis on him. Same with Lucas Glover. But I just wanted to highlight those guys. Someone that we have to look at. Even Knox will be someone we look at from a sleeper perspective. And then I want to look at specifically the approach because 30% of the approach shots hit here are 200 plus. Who's elite at that? And then you can see over here ranked all the way top 20. And this is the past 12 rounds. Now, this is not to any specific golf course. This is just looking, open up all golf courses and just looking at specifically who's good from 200 out. Of course, Paul Casey pops again. Cameron Davis, I think, is an interesting play here. You got Leishman again, Hatton, Hovland, Agrio again. You can also see guys that have done well here in the past. Molinari, who's won in the past. Of course, Leishman won in the past. And I don't know if Rory pops up here. Nope. Doc Redman's going to be an interesting. I'm going to do some more analysis on him, but could be a sleeper pick. Doc is really good with the long irons, and sometimes on Bermuda he shows up, and we'll have to look at what he does in his wind, the wind splits. But just a side note. And then Cameron Percy, who I don't actually know where he ended at the Puerto Rico, but I know he was, top 5 last I saw. So something to think about. And then what I did is I added the Windy AF as filter, just to see what that did and who popped up. And then, of course, Leishman is winner in the past is your number 1. Again, this is 200 out. Brandon Grace again, Rory, Cam Davis. Taylor Gooch, I actually put a bet to lead after the first round. I think it's just an interesting play. And Paul Casey again pops up. All right, next thing we want to look at is who does really well putting on Bermuda. Of course, no shocker, Sam Burns, Bermuda specialist, been in great recent form. I've got a bet on him for outright win. I think it's around 50 to 1. Terrell Hatton, I think his odds was 22 last week. It went down, so I didn't place a bet on Terrell. Just the odds just didn't allow. But Leishman actually is pretty solid. I think he's about a 50 to 1. Fitzpatrick, I think it's 22 to 1. I have a bet on him. Again, Doc Redman showed up again. Where amazing enough, Doc is not a good putter, but on Bermuda, he does all right. So it's someone that's interesting to me. Sanjay M, Kevin Kisner, someone that we're going to talk about, and Killer Keith. We're going to look into Killer Keith. Okay, so starting out, let's do some analysis on these guys so you can see why I like them. And the first one we're going to talk about is Sunjay M. First thing that we're looking at again is we want guys that can putt on Bermuda. Now, if the wind does kick up, he's not as good in the wind, but has a really good track record here. And so if we just pull up, if you just look at recent history, pretty solid. Last top 5 was at the Tournament of Champions, of course, small field, but tough field. And I believe that was on Bermuda. But if we type in and look at the Honda, of course, he won the Honda last year in March, which I really like that. The players, he missed cut in 2019 is only there. Let's look at the Wyndham. 2 top 10s at the Wyndham. He had a 9th and a 6th, so I like how that works out. And then WGC St. Jude, he had a 35th back in August of 2020. So everything from a correlation standpoint. And then I guess we should look at the Arnold Palmer. I don't think it's going to be any shocker because of these top 3 finishes. You know, he's going to be probably pretty chalky from a GPP tournament perspective. But if you haven't burned him for one and done, just so we can get that out of the way, from a one and done perspective, Terrell Hatton, I think it's a great one and done if you didn't burn him last week. I think also Sunjay M is a great one and done here. All right, let's talk about Paul Casey. So Paul Casey, from a putting perspective, if he gets hot with a putter, that's when Paul does what he does. And of course, his 2 wins at Valspar. Some comp similarity, we'll look at that too, just for shits and giggles. But you see Bermuda, you know, it's not a positive, but it's really, I'd call it a neutral putting surface. But he is, you know, decent in the wind, almost can gain a stroke against the field if it does blow. Everything from a stroke gain has been solid for the last 10 tournaments. He's also got that win. I believe that was the Omega in Europe that he's coming off. He took last week off, so hopefully refresh. Hopefully he's got to be able to spend, you know, some time already at the course preparing. And of course, he had a 5th at AT&T Pro-Am at Pebble Beach. So on the California swing, he also had an 8th at the Amex. So good recent form he's coming in with. And if we just go back and see at the Honda, you know, he had an 11th in 2017, a 3rd back in 2015. So pretty good course fit here. He had 1 missed cut there, and it's a little dated, but, you know, everything looks solid from the Honda perspective. If we look at the players, he had a missed cut in 2019, but a couple 20-place finishes in the past. If we look at Wyndham, he's had a 3rd there back in 2015, a 31st in 2020. And last, let's look at WG St. Jude. Had a 67th and a 27th and a 31st. So, you know, not bad. I mean, he's got some good track record on that. And just, if we look at Valspar, if I throw that in, of course, he won back-to-back there. And if we go to Valspar, it is a Bermuda. Innsbruck is a par 71. You know, again, another comp course we could use. If you look from a distance perspective, it's a little shorter. Green speeds are fast. Here is lightning. Green is firm, so that's the same. So there's a lot of, you know, relative. And then rough length, you know, if you actually put in long rough, which that is what is at Bay Hill, it's very unique. I mentioned this in the preview show. Literally, no other courses come up when you put in Bermuda and all the other stuff. So I kind of had to remove the long rough side, but we just know that it's there. All right. Matthew Fitzpatrick's the next guy I want to talk about. Of course, Matthew's been playing great since he's been over here in the States. And also, I believe he had a T2 over in Europe not too long ago. You know, again, Bermuda's a great surface for him. He can play in the wind, gains almost a stroke against the field. Solid from a ball striking perspective. As I already mentioned, he had a 5th at the Genesis. He had 11th at WGC Mexico. And if we go look at some past history, at the Arnold, he's had, you know, a 9th and a 2nd, a 13th, a 27th. So he's very familiar with the course. Great success. I've got him, as I mentioned, as a bet outright. I believe, oh, geez, I'm forgetting. I think I got him at 22-1 at the time. I'm not sure where he's at now. If we look at the Honda, not the greatest at the Honda, but it's been a while. They had a 68. We look at Wyndham, 2018 he played there. He had a 36. WGC St. Jude. He's done really well there. He's at a 6th place last year, a 4th in 2019. And then just while we're looking at, let's throw Valspar in there, even though I didn't list it. He missed cut, but that was back in 2018. Tough track. Okay, so that's another one that I like. Terrell Hatton, as I mentioned, was my guy last week. Just had, a couple blow-up holes, as a lot of the guys did it, but, not a bad round all in all. I think he shot. So, yeah, it ended up 22nd. And around the green got him, which, that was in a couple of the guys' areas. But anyways, Bermuda does well on that, can play in the wind. Around the green is typically his Achilles heel. Coming off good form. Really the last, he's been over to Europe, had a win over Europe, and he won, I don't know, it was the Omega. That was Casey. But he beat Rory, I know, and I can't think of the name of the tournament, but it's recent. So we know he's got a win recently. He's got a 22nd to WGC. If we go look at the Honda for him, he had a miscut in 2018, but he had a fourth in 2017. We look at the Arnold Palmer. Of course, he won this event last year. Had a fourth before that, and 69th and a 29th. So 4 years here, good course history. And again, this is no shocker for probably a lot of people. We look at the Wyndham. He had a miscut in 2016, and then WGC St. Jude. Best finish was a 28th, and his recent was a 69th. But again, I like everything I see. And like I said, usually for some odd reason, I can be a week late for my, picks. And so Terrell, I think, is very live here. Rory, no shocker. Good on Bermuda. Great in the wind. Elite form. The putter is what's been hampering Rory. I've talked about that quite a few times, but he did gain 2.5 strokes. And my feelings are mentally he is trying to get ready for the Players, right? I mean, he's technically the last winner of the Players because they didn't get a finish last year. So he's looking to repeat, does well at that course. And he does, at the Arnold Palmer, it's just elite here. I covered this on the preview show. You can just say really almost 4 top fives. He's got an 11th, had the win in 2018. So an amazing course history here. We look at the Players, as I mentioned. He won in 2019, had a bunch of top, 10s. The Wyndham, I don't know. Is he? Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if he's ever played at the Wyndham. And then, of course, the WGC St. Jude, he has played. And again, impeccable history there. So everything's pointing to Rory. Like I said, I don't like to state the obvious, but everything says that Rory should have a great tournament. Mark Leishman, great on Bermuda. Can manage. It's not maybe the greatest, but can manage. He struggled quite mightily, and then Leishman has been just getting back on the road. So, kind of all started at the Tournament of Champions. Well, really, it started at the Masters, right? So you had that disastrous showing at the Zozo and the CJ, miscut at the U.S. Open. And then it's slowly, OHL was a mishap, but slowly just been cranking up the putters live. So he gained almost 5 strokes on Bermuda last week. And we can also look at, I think the WGC at Concession, I was using Bay Hill as a comp course because from a distance and Bermuda and water, very similarities. Just the difference will be the greens. One are very elevated, so around the green you're going to need to be better. And this one here, I think you just have to be a little better putter because there's not a lot of undulation. They're just crazy fast, lightning. If we look at, of course, he has a win here at the Arnold Palmer in 2017, but he had a second. He had a runner-up last year, so he's got a great track history here at the course. We look at the Players. Miscut recently. His best finish was way back in 2013, but again, pretty good showing there. We look at the Wyndham. He's never played. WGC St. Jude. Best finish was a 3rd in 2019. 52nd, a 14th. So again, like all that. Oh, and while we're there, like I said, I'm just going to throw Valspar in there. I'm just curious. Hasn't played in a while, but he had a miscut in 2015. So nothing spectacular on the Valspar front. All right, Tommy Fleetwood. This one, this is a little difficult for me. I'm not going to lie. I've been fading Tommy for quite a while, but what I saw just recently last week, it was just a putter that hurt him, and that's not typical for Tommy. Bermuda is not his best surface, but it's not ridiculous. He can definitely play in the wind, and he's got that tool set that I like. Hitting fairways, can hit that long ball pretty accurately. But you can see his approach has been a little off, and, again, not in usually Tommy fashion, but typically he's a lot better putter than losing 6 strokes. And so if you look at tee to green, he gained almost 3 strokes. Nothing crazy off the tee, but I liked what I saw in approach. Around the green was decent. He also had a decent showing at the RSM. That was back in November. Of course, the Masters, he had a decent showing. Over in Europe, he's, I don't remember all the finishings, but, been relatively decent. We look at Arnold Palmer. He had a third back here in 2019, a 10th in 2017. We look at the Honda, which was, the last, I just thought about this. So this was the event that I remember Sanjay M, coming and winning, but he was in the hunt, and everybody was kind of thinking that Tommy would get his first win there. So again, we're back to the Florida swing. I like the possibility that, hey, it could happen again for him. And I'm not sure if he ever played Wyndham. He did. He had a 59th in 2020, his only time there. And WGC St. Jude. He's had a 4th there back in 2019, a 14th, and a 35th. So everything looks good. Everything's pointing that Tommy could have a good tournament. And so I'm on him this week. I didn't bet him, but he's definitely going to be in my GPP lineups. I think he's 40-1 from an odds perspective. I think it might not be even that good. I felt like the odds just weren't strong enough to place a bet on him. All right, next person we're going to talk about is Lanto. Been in good form. He does gain on Bermuda. I like what he does when it's windy. We had to look at that. Last 5 events, everything is looking good except around the green. Maybe losing a stroke. But, if you look at it, of course, he had that great CJ Cup Zozo, but did well at the Farmers, Genesis. So everything's, showing well there. Didn't like he lost that's usually where he's been gaining. You can see here from a putting perspective, and a lot of these are Bermuda. That's Bermuda at the Tournament of Champions. The Sony's Bermuda. Then you got the POA swing. So these 3 would be POA. But he can gain on Bermuda. So, let's hope that keeps true. And let's go look at some past history. So at the Arnold, has he not played here? Okay, he has played here. At a 36 in 2020, I was going to say, kind of shocked. The Players, never played him, but will be there this year. The Wyndham, he had a 57th, and then WGC St. Jude's never played. So not a ton of history. Of course, Lanto's game just kind of came out of him, and I look at Munoz. Both of them kind of popped onto the scene and been doing well since. So I like some Lanto. Next guy I'm going to talk about, Kevin Kisner. Had a great tournament last week. Just had that blow up round. I believe that was Saturday. And this doesn't really show how he played, I don't think. Like I said, I think that 80 he shot or whatever really killed him. But, had some good showings recently. Decent at the Zozo. The RSM did well. The TOC. What I like, of course, he does gain on Bermuda. Can definitely play in the wind. That is partly why I'm kind of leaning toward Kisner. And if we go look at his past history at the Arnold, kind of on and off, right? He had a 2nd place back in 2017, a 23rd, but he's also had some miscuts thrown in there. If we look at the Players, he had a 22nd in 2019. If we look at Wyndham, which that course just fits him, is of course a shorter track, and that seems what fits Kisner well. He had a 3rd and an 8th. And WGC St. Jude. Some good showings, some top 25s. So everything looks good there. So, you know what? I like what I'm seeing with Kisner. As long as it doesn't have that blow-up roll, we're good. Of course, Victor Hovland, he wasn't in my picks last week. Just a lot was around the green I thought would kill him. He had, of course, that quad that did. But, overall, he did real well and handled that course pretty good. So if he can handle that course, he can definitely handle this course. If the putter stays, pretty hot, which, is rare for Victor, that he's gaining, stroking over a stroke putting. So, this Bermuda hopefully will go up. But he can play in a win. We know he's just awesome, elite off the tee and approach. He can hit that 200 plus real nice. And I mean, the guys do again. So he had to win at OHL, but man, a 2nd, a 5th, a 2nd. Everything, I guess it'll go either way, right? Either he has a fall from grace or he wins the tournament. And I don't think anybody, everybody's kind of on him. We go look at some past history at the Arnold. So, I guess if you're going to fade a guy, you could say, well, 240th in the previous. Look at the Players. He hasn't been there, but he'll be there this year. What about the Wyndham? He had a 4th at the Wyndham, which, again, is a good course fit. WGC St. Jude. He had a 59th. So, let's look at Valspar. Is he a player? No, but he's never played here. Okay. So, again, I like everything I've seen out of Victor. I don't think no shock there. Will Z, been playing well. He, does lose on Bermuda. we don't have enough information about what he can do in the wind, so I'm not so concerned with that. What I do like is his tee to green game. It's just the putter. So if we look at Poa, he gained 5 strokes. He did lose almost 5 strokes putting on Bermuda, so that's a little concerning. He gained again on Poa. Trying to remember what waste management is. Bermuda. Okay, that's good. So that's a good sign. So it does show that he can, at least either, oh, wait a minute. He lost on, well, maybe right now his Bermuda splits are not looking that great. That's not why I'm leaning on him. And I don't know how much background. I don't know what tournaments. I don't think he's maybe played in any of these. So, okay, he did play the Wyndham, but that was, must have been on an exemption. That was in 2018 WC. So we don't have a lot of track history. What I like is his ball striking from a distance, and he's been playing well. So if you want to know why I'm on him, that is it. Kind of a little crazy, maybe off the cuff pick, but I like Killer Keith Mitchell this week. And I'll just go real quick and show you why. I'm not even going to, we can look at these 3 missed cuts, which, I bet him. Actually, I think one of my heavier bets is on him. I think he's 150 to 1. But the Sony, had a good showing, and that is Bermuda. There's some maybe, it's a shorter track, but I'm not going to say there's a direct correlation. But if we look at what he's done, so at the Arnold Palmer, and I mean this is no shocker, but he, a 5th last year, a 6th before. This is what's really interesting. And then we look at the Honda. He had 2 missed cuts, but he had that win, which I think again is a great. So we know he can do it. Really curious what the dish. So there was some moderate wind. I was just trying to remember. I felt like it was a little cooler. There was something that was just odd. I mean, it was kind of normal, but green speeds are faster. Everything fits from a perspective that I think the Honda's a good correlation. So yeah, that is it. I mean, if you want to know why I'm on Killer Keith, just kind of out of nowhere, kind of a flyer, it's just his past history here and winning the Honda. And not a lot of guys have really brought him up. So he is someone that I'm looking at. Tringale's just been playing well. Now, if it does blow, he might struggle a bit. But, we've seen great recent form out of Tringale. If we look at what he's done here in the past, 27th of 56. So good course history here. The players, he's had a 16th, a 35th. That's the most recent. We look at the Wyndham. Doesn't like the Wyndham, funny enough, which doesn't make sense. It seems like that course would fit him. Hasn't played at WGC, and I don't know if he's played Valspar. He's had a couple miscuts there. So we're going on a more recent form with Tringale, and and hope that sticks true. Emiliano Grillo, of course, can't putt, but he had a pretty decent showing here at Puerto Rico. Can play to win and can hit those long irons at 200 plus that we're looking at. You can see here where he falters. Again, getting to the green, usually not a problem. Around and putting is where it falters. He also had that 11th at Puerto Rico here recently. I don't know how that all broke down. What's the greens? I would have to guess past Palm, which is similar, but typically they are slower greens. So let's say here green speed. No, we don't have green speed. But yeah, past Palm is pretty close to a Bermuda. We'll go with that. The waste management, that was Bermuda he gained. The Sony he gained, and that's Bermuda. I believe the OHL, that could be past Palm again. Yep. He likes those slow greens. So note to self, RSM he gained a little. That was Bermuda. Okay, so we're going to go with, this is a tricky. I'm not going to lie. Lightning speed greens could be a problem for Grillo. But I do like everything else he is bringing to the plate. Let's go take a look. And I don't know if I already did this. But, he's played the Arnold Palmer before. He's handled the greens. I mean, the 3 times he's played there, he's out, you can say top 25 or better. So that's solid. The Honda, he had an 8th, but 2 missed cuts. Wyndham, played there once with a missed cut. That was a while ago. And in WGC St. Jude, had a 66. So it's a bit of a flyer, but hey, we can't pick all the elites. I just like Grillo's game, and if it does get windy, he's shown he can handle it. Last guy we'll talk about is Cam Davis. Cam's been hot. We just look real quick at recent form. Had a decent, West Coast swing. The Genesis, that's a tougher track, and he also lost on putting. Seeing here where typically he's had some success. Sanderson Farms. I'm just curious. I don't remember off the top of my head. It is Bermuda. It actually, the CC of Jackson came up as a comp course. I just don't think Sanderson Farms, it doesn't have a lot of water. It's got the trees. So I didn't think it was a good correlation, but you can sit there and go from a distance perspective from a par 72 to Bermuda. It did come up as a comp, but again, I just don't think it plays quite like this course does. Did we pull all this already? So Arnold Palmer never played here. The Honda had an 8th in 2020. I like that. The players, have you ever been? Nope, not yet. Maybe this year. Wyndham. It's had a 15th and a 22nd, and I don't know if he's ever been. No WGCs. Okay, but that's the guys that I'm looking at, and now let's go through and let you know where I rank them. Okay, so now I get into the ranking and summarize all that information we went through. Where do I place them? So my top 5 picks. So this is the guys that from a betting perspective, one and done. These are, or if you're building your lineup starting at the top, these are the guys that I would put as my top 5. Sanjay M. I like the Paul Casey. We got Fitzpatrick, Terrell Hatton, and of course Rory. So again, from a one and done perspective, if you have not burned Terrell Hatton, this could be a great spot. I would save Rory for the players. If you haven't burned Fitzpatrick, he could be very live here. M, Casey, all these guys from a one and done perspective, I think have a great chance to do and make you guys some money in the one and done. All right, my next 5 picks would be Leishman. Of course, Fleetwood, who I've been typically fading, but I like him this week. Of course, we got Lanto Griffin, Crazy Eyes, Kevin Kisner, and of course, you can't get rid of Hovland right now. He is doing so well. Okay, so let's look at the last 5 picks, and these are the guys that I've got some bets on. I think have great odds, and someone that you might want to look at. So again, these are guys that would bring up the rear GPP tournament plays. I would not use these guys for one and done, but from a betting perspective, I think these are some of the guys you could look at. So you got Will Zalatoris right now is 40-1 on DraftKings Sportsbook. You got Killer Keith, who I got in at 150. Let me just check to see if that's still where about he's at. Where's Mr. Killer Keith? Yeah, 150-1. So just, it's a flyer, but the guy's had great history in Florida and on these kind of tracks. You got Tringali coming in. I believe he was around 100-1. Let me just verify where he's at right now. 70-1. You got Griot, who I believe is around the same, 80-1. And last but not least, you got Cam Davis, who I believe is 70-1. Yep, 71. So this is more from a betting perspective. Some of the longer flyers, I would look at these guys. And that's it, man. I hope that gave you lots of information. Don't forget, you need to like, subscribe. Tell me who's going to win the players, and you could get a free entry into the multi-milli maker. Shouldn't say multi, the milli maker. And if you have any questions, anything else I can help you with, please leave comments in the YouTube area or hit me up on Twitter at DFS Golf Guru. All the best of luck to you. Tomorrow I will be releasing in the afternoon my fades, sleepers. We'll look at the weather again to see where that's fitting in. And, ownership projections. So all that will be in tomorrow's show. Thanks so much, guys. All the best of luck to us.